Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we will be discussing the Ethiopia Dambi Uddo natural processed coffee from Camber. And there's the bag right there. Let's talk a brief bit about Camber. So, Camber, based out of Bellingham, Washington. Probably been to their shop maybe a dozen times or so in my life. It's a beautiful shop if you're ever up in the area, North Washington. And I've heard so many great things from so many people about Camber as a whole. They were in my coffee roaster tier list video and I put them in the good category. One of my biggest coffee idols said to me personally that one of his favorite coffee roasters in the entire country is Camber, so huge praise there. One of my friends and subscribers also recently got into some Camber coffee and he was a fan, so just overall a pretty good coffee roaster. Towards the end of last year, they came out with a couple of coffees, including a washed Guji that I was a huge fan of. So just wanted to heap a bunch of praise on Camber, and I wear a Camber shirt a lot to highlight how good they are. This is day 18 of this coffee, by the way. Now, of course, I kind of preface all of that on this video because the reality was this coffee did finish 5th in my blind taste test video. And I wanted to say real quick about that, I think one thing is it shouldn't be an indictment on that coffee. The 4 coffees that it was up against seemed to be a couple of my favorites the entire year. Those Onyxes were really impressive, as well as the Luna. And I think that maybe it just kind of suffered because of that. It's still a really nice cup of coffee, and I think there are a lot of people that would really enjoy this. So there's a lot to discuss about it, and let's just start getting into that. We'll start with day 6, and I couldn't help but feel that this was definitely too early for the coffee, and this is going to be a theme with coffees coming up, drinking it too early. Some subtle peach and a bit of pineapple as it cooled. It had a kind of traditional Camber taste to it for anybody that's had a lot of Camber. But that was it for the pineapple. I didn't get pineapple throughout the rest of this coffee. Day 8 came through a lot better. Pretty floral, some subtle peachiness, and just getting a little better. Day 9, I decided to put it through the cone filter, and this is what I wanted to emphasize. Is this coffee, I think, was a little darker, it was a little roastier than I had expected, and as a result, putting it through some darker process and darker methods of making this coffee, like a automatic coffee maker or the cone filter, or I think the best thing probably would have been an AeroPress. I think this coffee would have been great through an AeroPress. That's the best way I think that this coffee could have been brewed. So I was experimenting with it a lot, and when I did it this way, peach was a little bit more prominent and the coffee as a whole was a little bit more evenly balanced. A little less acidity, but it wasn't quite as vibrant on the florals anyway. And then it was in the blind taste test video, and then day 12 I put it through the cone filter again, still coming better this way. Some great peach filter, some strong florals, and a very vibrant cup of coffee. I think on day 18, this coffee is getting better. It's definitely getting better as it aged. I think a lot of my underwhelmed feelings or disappointment in a sense towards this coffee came from it being too early. This is one of those coffees that has definitely gotten better as time has passed. Let me go ahead and put up the tasting wheel though, and you will see, of course, the thing that jumps out is the florals. I think they list this as cherry blossom, and while I have some pretty decent familiarity with cherry blossom, I think usually I can just tell that a coffee's floral, and I can usually tell the rose flavors pretty well because, well, heart coffees have a lot of rose flavors to them. But I would just describe it as floral. I don't know if it's cherry blossom or not, to be honest. The rest of it pretty evenly balanced. Nothing below a 2, nothing above a 3. Not the cleanest cup of coffee, decent body, a little smoky, definitely some chocolatiness. And on those fruit notes, I want to emphasize the berry stuck at a level 3 because I never got a whole lot of strawberry in this coffee. It's again listed as a flavor note there. Never got a ton of it. The stone fruit, which is the peachiness, especially the day I made this, left it at a 3 because I definitely wasn't getting a ton of peach at any point, and there have been so many more coffees where it just tastes like straight peach, such a strong peach, and it was never a strong peach with this coffee. Like now, the things that are most prominent are definitely the florals. It's lightened up. It's so nice now. It's It's not going to be overly flavorful, and it's not going to be overly fruity or even floral. It's more of a subtle but prominent florality in this coffee. It's still very nice. This is where I have a hard time deciding, though, who I would recommend this coffee to. And I think somebody that is, I don't want to say on the slightly roastier side of things, but I think people that maybe consider Onyx too light, or Sweet Bloom, these are my two measuring sticks, a little light, then this is just a shade darker, and that would be a good option. And this natural right here isn't going to blow you away with fruit. So I don't know if there's such a person that enjoys naturals that aren't overly fruity. But if there is, then that's a perfect fit, and that's the best I could kind of come up with for who I would suggest this coffee to. But I think Camber as a whole is something worth checking out for most people, especially if you're curious about some of the Northwest coffee. I think Camber is a perfect example of kind of mixing the modern and traditional Northwest coffee scene, the typically dark, with a more modern approach, because it's definitely not too roasty, it's definitely not too dark, but at the same time, it's not your Scandinavian, Portland-esque, super light coffees. I'm going to leave it at that, though. If you have tried this Camber, please let me know what you thought of it as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a discussion of the Ethiopia Dambi Uddo natural processed coffee from Camber. Thank you for watching.